Hey guys, Grivinoni here. Before we get started with today's episode, I have a new nickname suggestion from you all in the comments. Today's nickname has been suggested by UberDan9254, and he has suggested the nickname Venom for our Spinnerack. This is referencing both Spinnerack's poisonous abilities as well as the villain from Spider-Man known as Venom. So thank you very much, UberDan, for the suggestion. And now, let us begin the episode. Hey guys, Grivinoni here, and welcome back to Pokémon HeartGold. Last time, we went into the Dragon's Den after defeating Clair to prove that we were indeed worthy of the final badge of the Johto region. And we finally got it, along with the TM for Dragon Pulse and a really rare Dratini with the move Extreme Speed. This time, with 8 badges in our possession, we now have the ability to use Waterfall outside of battle. And so, this episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going around the world, taking care of a couple items of business that we can achieve with Waterfall, and exploring a new route in the process. A little bit of old and a little bit of new. Why are we in Cinewood City, you may ask? Well, the reason that we are in Cinewood City is because our first bit of business is going to take us to Route 47. But before we can do that, we need to get a Pokemon out of the PC that can learn Waterfall. Because it may surprise you to learn, I am not willing to teach it to Mizumori. Okay, so for this first venture of the day, I've brought back the Wooper. And I'm going to teach him Waterfall. He already knows Surf, so I think it's best to have Mizumori out of the party just for this first couple of ventures. But don't worry, Mizumori will come back. I think I'll get rid of Water Gun, not that it particularly matters because I don't really plan on using in battle. But it's still worth at least acknowledging. So now it knows Waterfall. All right, now we're back here on Route 47 because as I said, that's the first place we need to take care of some business here. If you recall, the first time that we arrived here in Route 47, there was a waterfall that we were not able to do anything with. But now we can. The large waterfall. Would you like to use Waterfall? Yes. At long last, let us ascend the waterfall of glory. And now we find ourselves on this bit of water here. I do believe this is one of the only patches of grass here that you can find on Route 47. I don't believe there are really any new items here that we can find, nor are there any new wild Pokemon, but I will double check just to be certain. Well, there's Ditto. Actually, you know what? No, credit where it is due. These Pokemon are actually very high level. That's a level 32 Ditto. Okay, I stand corrected. While there aren't any new wild Pokemon to be found in this specific patch of grass, Pokemon we can find here are pretty decently high level, especially when you factor this game specifically. The nice thing is, going down the waterfall does not require you to directly interact with it. They don't care at that point. The only thing that particularly matters is whether or not you have waterfall to ascend. And back over here, there's another waterfall that we need to ascend, because there is something locked behind this waterfall that we absolutely need to get. So we're going to go under the bridge, because that is a thing that we are capable of doing, as well as finding a bunch of Tentacool. We're going to head further up this way. Right there! Come on! And now, finally, we can head up here and grab this. The White Flute. It's the exact opposite of the Black Flute item. The Black Flute item reduces wild encounter rates, while the White Flute increases it. Why you would want to use this? I'm not sure. In a certain situation, it might be useful, but in most cases, you would not want to use this. But it's here if you want it. And for some reason, they felt the need to lock it behind Waterfall of all things. But that takes care of the first item of business. Now to address the second item. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fly back to Ecruteak and talk about how we need to formulate a plan. All right, we're back here in Ecruteak City, and I've done a little bit of rearranging with my party because we do need to go about this next task in a very specific way. So for starters, I've taken out most of my party members, and I have here Ceres, Rido, Blazer, Dwayne, and the main thing that you need for this next task we're going to do, you need a Pokemon that has Waterfall, Strength, and Surf. So we have Waterfall and Surf with and we have Strength with Dwayne. The main thing to also note is that I have an empty slot in my party. For what we're going to do next, I highly recommend that you only have 5 Pokemon. You want to have at least one empty slot in your team for reasons that will be apparent later. So with that said, we're going to head back east, and we're going to go back to the middle entrance of Mount Mortar to achieve our next task. Okay, here we are again in the middle entrance. Let's head back in. Welcome back to Mount Mortar. Now, in order to do what we need to do, we need to go into the water here with the power, and we're going to immediately find a wild Pokemon, to the surprise of literally 0 people. I swear on my life, I will find what I am looking for by not having repels up, and this is going to pay off. I promise it will. Okay, at long last, we are at the waterfall. Don't ask me how many wild Pokemon I encountered on the way over. So now we're going to use Waterfall on this enormous waterfall here with the power. And now we ascend. And now we're in a whole new area of Mount Mortar we were not able to explore previously. And as always, there are more wild Pokemon. They're not even stronger. They're just more annoying. Okay, but I shouldn't be a total negative Nancy. There are some nice things here. So let's head on in. Behold, the middle section of Mount Mortar. There's a lot to check out in this area, and we just want to be very sure that we cover everything. Pretty sure that guy's a trainer. Definitely want to fight him. Okay, well, as we can see here, the Pokemon levels are definitely getting a lot higher. We are going to need to be a lot more cautious because we don't have that many strong Pokemon in our party at the moment. So we need to make every battle count. Yo, Marcus! I'm guessing you're Hugh, if I had to guess. God dang, really? Okay, Seadra, level 39, that's not good. We're going to be in for a rough one today, folks, but that's okay. Okay. Oh, where's that critical hit earlier, Rido? Jeez, Yep, this cave's gonna be a little rough, but that's okay. Blazer grew to level 35. Blazer wants to learn the move Lava Plume. Really, really nice move. Definitely give this a consideration. So, Flame Wheel has been our go-to fire-type move for a good while, but I think it's time to finally replace Flame Wheel with Lava Plume. Lava Plume is a nice, powerful 80 power special attack, and Inferno of Scarlet Flames wash over all Pokemon in battle. The only thing you need to be mindful of is that Lava Plume, while it does hit all Pokemon battle in a double battle, it also does inflict damage to your party members in battle. So you do need to be careful, but it's worth it, because Lava Plume is just that good. So goodbye, Flame Wheel. Hello, Lava Plume. Oops, I really mixed you up. Yep, this is Hugh. My goodness. It's finally come full circle. Mother, not now. I can't explore Mount Mortar, but I got separated from my partner. Did you run into a trainer who uses Slowpoke? That Slowpoke is really good at using Strength. Yes, as a matter of fact, I did run into that Slowpoke. Okay, so evidently we do need to be pretty cautious here, because the wild Pokemon levels here are no joke, but moreover, the trainer levels here are also no joke, which is a serious problem when I have 2 very weak Pokemon on my party, and the rest of my party Pokemon that I actually use in battle are still underleveled. Oh my goodness, a wild Machoke of all things. You know what? We haven't caught a Machoke before. Let's use a Quick Ball. I'll give you 1 shot, Machoke. 1, 2, 3. All right, there we go. Machoke has been caught. Fantastic. Machoke's hit has been added to the Pokédex. Machoke, the superpowered Pokemon. It always goes at its full power, but this very tough and durable Pokemon never gets tired. Given that we never had the opportunity to nickname the Machop that we got before, because it was a trait of a Pokemon, if you want to give a nickname to this Machoke, feel free to recommend one in the comments. Okay, now, if I can please get anywhere without getting just totally interrupted, we do have some more areas to explore. I'm gonna serve across here and see if there's an item ahead. Noticing a lot of trade evolution Pokemon here. There are both Gravelers and Machokes here. Right there we have a Max Potion, best healing item in the game aside from Full Restore. So we're now gonna head down here and cross over to this body of water and then go up on the right here, where there isn't anything else. me just double check, be certain. Okay, there are hidden items here, but not on this patch, so we should be fine. Cross here. No complications so far. Cross here now. Are there any hidden items here? Yes, there is! There's a full restore hidden right there. That's absolutely straight up the best healing item in the game. Well, in terms of items that we can regularly obtain anyway. Alright, now then, let's head back over this way. We're gonna have to hop down a little ways to get where we want to go. There's another, I believe that is the super we fought previously. We go down there, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get locked out of certain things, so I'm gonna save that for later and focus on going up this way. And there should be some stuff I can get here. Let me think. Okay, I got it. I think I want to go down here. Yes. Hop over here, and then that gets me TM40 Aerial Ace. Oh, yes. Let's talk about this one. Aerial Ace. The user confounds the foe with speed, then strikes. The attack lands without fail. It's not the absolute best flying type move in the game, but it is the only flying type move that straight up never misses. Now, I actually do intend to teach this to Ceres relatively soon, but I am actually going to be holding off on this for now for reasons that will be apparent later. But just know, I have every intention of teaching Aerial Ace to Ceres when the time comes. That time is just not right now. And again, it'll be apparent why that's the case soon as well. But now I need to go back. So we're going to go into this body of water here. Hopefully not run into any big scary fish. I had to jinx myself. Well, at least I was half right. Okay, and up here, there's an escape rope. Good, I'm gonna need that in a few minutes. But we'll save that for later. No hidden items in these rocks, so we should be good. So let's go ahead and press on with... and then check these rocks. You never know. Dang it! Okay, back up here. Need to think about how to get to that. Okay, so let's get this item first. Found an elixir. Very useful item. And we need to head back up to the right, because there's another item that I've not accounted for. Okay, so back up here, we're gonna hop down these two ledges, not hop down the third one. And eventually walk up this path here and get ourselves a dragon scale. Very, very useful item. The dragon scale, a thick and tough scale. Dragon type Pokemon may be holding this item when caught. This doesn't have any objective usage right now. However, I will be going over what exactly this item will do at a later point once we talk about the Pokemon that it is relevant to. Okay, and now we're gonna hop down here and go into this body of water because we need to do the next step. And hopefully not run into any wild Goldeen. Beautiful. Down the ladder we go. Now we're in a whole other section here. This one's a little more straightforward to navigate, all things considered. And check the rocks. Well, I say that, but a little trickier than I thought. Hello, my chop. Looks like we're back to relatively normal Pokemon levels. Well, relatively speaking. I think we've been in this room technically before. Ah, right there's an ether. I figured there must be a hidden item on this ledge, and I was right to assume that. Nothing on this rock, nothing on this rock. Gonna go up here, find another Pokemon. Mother, I really don't care right now. Gonna go down this ledge, and then walk up here. I think we need to head left in order to get that other item that I'm missing. Okay, come on. Just gotta push a little further. Just gotta get that item. Found a max revive here. Very, very, very nice and useful item. Now we still have more items that we need to grab. Fortunately, we've been pretty lucky in getting around. Really? No wild Pokemon. I've gotten so lucky here. Iron Ball. Pretty sure I brought this up before, but I'll go over it again properly, just to be certain. Yes, so the Iron Ball, a Pokemon-held item that cuts speed. It also makes Flying-type and Levitating holders susceptible to Ground-type moves. This is one of those items that's definitely good for switching with the opponent, and in the competitive scene, it can be useful, but for single player, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you really, really want a Pokemon to be especially slow. So with that said, let's keep pressing on. I'm actually going to go down here first because I'm pretty sure that ledge is going to lead me to areas I've already been to, and I don't want to go there yet. I want to go down into this room here. Yep, this is definitely where I need to go next. Right here in this hidden item. In that rock is a hidden item, Max Revive. Definitely nice. We have 2 Max Revives now, among other things. We got a lot of really cool items this episode. Headed down this way because I want to see what else there is down here before we head to the right. I can't finish one sentence. Okay, now then. Oh, yeah, this is where we were at before. Yep, it is as I suspected. So, right here, this is the area where I attempted to use strength previously in order to access this area the first time we went to Mount Mortar. Unfortunately, the spacing did not allow me to do that. But if I wanted to go down here in another instance, this is where you would use strength. So I'm glad I checked this area out. But now I need to go back up. Dang it. Okay, back down here. If I can get one sentence finished. I cannot. As I was saying, back over here, I'm going to check these rocks, be certain there are no other hidden items. And get interrupted again. Okay, fine. Is there anything else here? So, what do you have to say, Karate Man? Hey, I'm the Karate King. I train alone here in the cave. You, battle with me. Roar! Oh boy, this is gonna be rough, I feel. Especially since I don't think I recovered Rido. Okay, fortunately, he is not too difficult. He has a Hitmonlee at level 34. I don't have their moveset available to me, but Hitmonlee is here. We should have no trouble. Oh, right there, he used high jump kick. It's a very weird move where it doesn't have the best accuracy in the world, and if he misses, then he actually takes a lot of recoil damage. Unfortunately, unlike most fighting types, Hitmonlee doesn't have the best defenses in the world, so should be a non-issue here. It's also sending in Hitmonchan next. Hitmonchan also doesn't have great physical defense, so I'm pretty sure Saris can clean this with no issue. Right there, he's trying to use Thunder Punch, which... Oh, come on! Fly missed. Gee, if only I had a fly-type move that didn't miss. Am I right, guys? Not chance. You really think Vacuum Wave of all things is gonna work on me? Vacuum Wave doesn't do anything, least of all to Saris. Here we go. Nice 1-2 sweep, Saris. Very, very nice. Despite the fact you got punched in the face by lightning. Ah, I'm beaten. And we got some nice money, thanks to the amulet coin. I'm crushed. My training is still not enough. But a loss is a loss, I admit it. As proof that you defeated me, I'll give you a rare fighting-type Pokemon. You have no room in your Oh my god, are you kidding me? I forgot I caught the Machoke! Crap. It's actually a good thing that I had to come back here because I did not get this item here. An iron. Very nice, very useful. Let's go back to the Karate King. Okay, it didn't take me quite as long since I had to put up a rappel to save me some time. So, Karate King, what have you got for me? I'm crushed. My training is still not enough, but a loss is a loss, I admit it. As proof that you defeated me, I'll give you a rare fighting-type Pokemon. Griffin received Tyrogue from the Karate King. Would you like to give a nickname to the Tyrogue that I received? No! I'll let you guys decide what Tyrogue's name should be in the comments. Tyrogue is a fighting type. It evolves into a tougher Pokemon. Keep up the hard work. I'll keep training too. Farewell! So let's take a look at what we got. This is our Tyrogue, and it comes at level 10. Timid nature means that it has less attack and more speed. So let's talk about Tyrogue as a Pokemon here. Now, Tyrogue is a very unique case for a Pokemon, as it's one of the first and only cases since Eevee to have a triple split evolution. On the surface, Tyrogue doesn't look like much, even for a baby Pokemon. It is 35 in every base stat and only ever learns 4 moves naturally: Tackle, Foresight, Fake Out, and Helping Hand. However, depending on how it's raised, it can evolve into one of 3 different fighting type Pokemon at level 20, each of which have their own strengths and weaknesses. If Tyrogue has more attack than defense at level 20, it will evolve into Hitmonlee, the kicking Pokemon. As the title implies, Hitmonlee's bread and butter comes in the form of attacking with various kicking moves, many of which are semi-signature moves. These include Rolling Kick, Jump Kick, High Jump Kick, and Mega Kick, the latter of which is solely exclusive to Hitmonlee in this game. It has great offensive capabilities to back them up too, with 120 base attack. And unlike most fighting type Pokemon, Hitmonlee's defensive utility actually lies in its 110 special defense, which can definitely catch people off guard. And for a hard-hitting special tank, it has decent speed to allow it to keep up. That said, because Hitmonlee has good special defense, its physical defense is very lacking and its HP stat is well below average. So you're going to need to be careful when raising one. Also, as amazing as Hitmonlee is as a fighter, it doesn't have a lot of versatility without the help of TMs. The vast majority of Hitmonlee's moves are normal and fighting type attacks, which is fine when it can hit so hard, but it may struggle against the wrong types. That said, it did get Blaze Kick in this generation to help add on to the versatility, which is only now useful thanks to the physical special split, because Hitmonlee's special attack is trash. If you want a great glass cannon physical attacker, Hitmonlee is your guy. I can tell you from personal experience that Hitmonlee can take you all the way. Also, fun fact for those of you who own the official strategy guide for Pokémon HeartGold and Soul Silver, you will find that Hitmonlee is the only non-flying type Pokemon to be recommended for the Disc Catch Pokeathlon event. Probably because of the stretchy legs. Anyway, if Tyrogue has more defense than attack at level 20, it will evolve into Hitmonchan, the punching Pokemon. Now, what's interesting about this is that prior to Gen 2, Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan were not properly related to each other. Sure, they had similar names and stats, but until Tyrogue came into the picture, they were simply 2 parallel fighters and not considered part of the same evolution tree. Anyway, going into Hitmonchan as a Pokemon, it's meant to be more defensive and balanced than Hitmonlee, having slightly better physical defense in exchange for only having base 105 attack, and being slightly slower, but still maintaining that impressive special defense. For years, Hitmonchan, despite having more well-rounded stats than Hitmonlee, was not usually the preferred one. However, that is no longer the case. The physical special split has solved the number 1 issue of Hitmonchan, and now it can properly compete with Hitmonlee. It's best known for being one of the only fighting type Pokemon in the game to naturally learn Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch via level up. Prior to Gen 4, these moves were all considered special attacks due to the previous move system. And with Hitmonchan's garbage special attack stat, it was never going to take advantage of these moves and the superior coverage it had over Hitmonlee. But now it can, alongside all the other amazing punching moves it gets access to, including being the only fighting type Pokemon in the game that can learn Mega Punch. If that weren't enough for you, Hitmonchan can also come with the Iron Fist ability, an ability exclusive to it that boosts all of its punching moves by 20%. That said, it still has some of the same problems as Hitmonlee. Its physical defense is better, but still average compared to its special defense, and its HP and special attack are just as lacking. Not that the latter should matter anymore. Plus, it being slower can be a problem against faster opponents. And the fact remains that while Hitmonchan's physical attack is still quite good, it's never going to hit quite as hard as Hitmonlee. Still, Hitmonchan is an amazing, versatile Pokemon, and there truly has never been a better time to try using it. It will no longer disappoint. Also, fun fact, in the original Pokemon Red and Green games, Hitmonchan's sprite looked like a Togekiss looking at a Doduo performing a certain metabolic process. Anyway, moving on from that, if you raise Tyrogue to have equal attack and defense at level 20, then instead of either Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, you get Hitmontop, the handstand Pokemon. And yes, that is its official categorization. I'm not making that up. Hitmontop, as the training method implies, has equal attack and defense at base 95 each, which makes it the most balanced of the three. It is meant to have a combination of hard-hitting moves like Sucker Punch and Close Combat, as well as moves that inflict small chip damage, hit with priority, or remove field hazards. In fact, Hitmontop actually learns the most priority moves out of any Pokemon, even to this day. When used correctly, they can turn Hitmontop into an impressive utilitarian or a decent revenge killer. Its signature move is Triple Kick, a base 10 power fighting type move that can hit 3 times and increase its base power by 10 for each successful hit. Now, it may not sound great on the surface, but between same type attack bonus, the potential for it to be super effective, and the fact that Hitmontop can potentially have Technician for an ability, it will be dealing far more damage than you think. And if you want a more defensive approach, its other ability is Intimidate. That said, it is slower than the other two, hits lighter than the other two, and it doesn't quite have the coverage that Hitmonchan does. But between the 3 of these Pokemon, I would argue it's probably the easiest to slot in on a team, as it can cover any role you really need it to, whereas the other 2 are only good at one respective thing. The only genuine problem here with all 3 of them is that Tyrogue is joining us very late in our Johto adventure, and the fact that it comes at level 10 makes sense with respect to how it's meant to evolve, but not with respect to the fact that we had to fight a crazy powerful dragon lady just to get one. Anyway, that takes care of our business here in Mount Mortar, so I'm gonna head out and I will see you guys in our next area, because yes, despite how long it's taken me to do this, like nearly an hour, we're still not done here, not by a long shot. All right, we find ourselves here once again in Blackthorn City, or rather just on the edge of it. As you saw here, there's this whole bridge to an area that we have not been to before, and we have some exploring to do on the new route before we do anything else. So let's head in to Route 45. Now, the interesting thing to note about Route 45, it actually has 2 diverging paths. Each path has some trainers to fight in them. And for me to accomplish everything, I do need to go through both paths in order for me to, well, do all the coverage and fight all the trainers that I want. So, I think we're going to go ahead and take a few minutes, fight the trainers that are on this route, explore the area a bit, and speed things up as I talk about the new Pokemon that we can find here. And at some point, yes, we will go back here because there's another entrance to the Dark Cave. So let's begin. In this route, there are 4 new version exclusive Pokemon that we can find here, 2 of which can be found in each version. So to start off, in HeartGold version only, we can find a Phanpy. Phanpy is relatively unique, as its evolution line is the only pure ground type from Gen 2. As such, it has a lot of common weaknesses, but no quad weaknesses. Additionally, while its stats starting out are not exactly stellar, it does have very impressive HP right from the get-go. And once you get Phanpy to evolve into Donphan at level 25, it gets even better. Its attack and defense straight up double from base 60 to base 120 each, making Donphan an amazing physical tank. Evolving it also provides Donphan with access to both powerful and versatile moves. It gets both Magnitude and Earthquake through level up. It gets access to both Fire Fang and Thunder Fang via the Mover Learner to provide it much needed coverage. And it's the only ground type in the game to naturally learn Giga Impact via level up. And that's just its level up moves. Donphan can definitely surprise you with what it can learn via other means. The only things you need to be mindful of with Phanpy and Donphan is that Phanpy's HP doesn't improve when it evolves. And while its speed, special attack, and special defense do increase when it evolves, all those stats still remain well below average. So Donphan will struggle against a fast special attacker. Still, it's a phenomenal physical tank that can take you all the way. It's such a good tank that it shares the category of the armor Pokemon with Tyranitar. Conversely, in Soul Silver version, we can find Teddiursa. Now, don't let this little guy fool you. Its adorable appearance comes with some impressive attack right out of the gate, allowing it to hit hard the moment you get it. The rest of its stats, however, are mostly lacking, making it somewhat of a challenge to race. However, once you do manage to evolve it into Ursaring at level 30, it becomes worth it. Look at that attack stat. Most legendaries don't hit that hard. Ursaring is among the top 20 Pokemon with the highest attack stat in the game. The rest of its stats are relatively average, but still good. It can hit even harder with its Guts ability, which boosts its attack by 50% whenever it's afflicted with a status condition. And if you combine it with the move Facade, you'll see catastrophic damage. That said, Ursaring still has its problems. While its attack is stellar, to say the least, the rest of its stats are still average, and its speed is very lacking, making it unlikely that it will ever go first. Additionally, most of its best moves don't come until pretty late, and most of those moves are normal fighting and dark type. Unlike most normal types, Teddiursa and Ursaring don't have a lot of coverage through TMs. If you want for them to get good coverage, you have to rely on tutor moves, many of which are only accessible during the post-game. Don't get me wrong, if you do get access to tutor moves, Ursaring can get some great coverage, including being one of the only non-grass types to get the move Seed Bomb. This Pokemon is a lot of work to get going, but once it has the tools it needs, Ursaring can become an unstoppable destructive force. Shifting back to HeartGold, another version exclusive Pokemon we can find here is Gligar. Weirdly enough, this is meant to be the version exclusive counterpart to Delibird. I don't really see the correlation, but we'll roll with it. Gligar is a ground flying type, a type unique to it that gives it some uncommon resistances and immunities, including being both immune to ground and electric attacks, while having very few weaknesses. Looking at its stats, it's weirdly meant to be a speedy tank with above average speed and impressive defense at base 105. However, despite being a ground flying type, the vast majority of what it learns through level up are normal, dark, and bug type moves, which allow for very little coverage and ability to attack with respect to its type without TMs. And for it being a physical tank, it doesn't have much in the way of support moves either. It also doesn't have good special defense either, which is a problem when its biggest weaknesses primarily are special attackers. It just doesn't quite have the tools it needs to be great. Fortunately, Gen 4 once again came through by giving yet another underpowered Gen 2 Pokemon a much needed evolution in the form of Gliscor. This evolution boosts everything. It hits harder, takes hits better on both fronts, especially its physical defense at base 125. It's faster, allowing it to act as a sweeper, and it has much more coverage. Through the move relearner alone, Gliscor can get all the elemental fangs and poison jab. It gets Night Slash, U-turn, and X-scissor through level up, and it's one of the only Pokemon in the game to get the move Guillotine, a low accuracy one-hit KO move. And although it still does not learn much in terms of ground or flying type attacks, it can get some great stuff via TMs and move tutors, including Aerolace, Roost, Earthquake, and Sky Attack. This Pokemon can truly do it all. The only genuine problem with Gliscor, aside from still needing to be mindful of its special defense, is that the only way to evolve Gligar into Gliscor is to level it up at night while it is holding the Razor Fang item, which is, as some of you probably expected, not available until the post-game. It's especially bad in this game because the only way to get it in the post-game is through a post-game facility that we will talk about later that requires quite a bit of time on your end to even earn the item. You can't find it anywhere in the wild. That said, for all the struggles it takes to earn Gliscor, once you get it, it's totally worth it. And finally, flipping back over to Soul Silver, we have Skarmory. Now, this is a defensive bird. Skarmory has the highest base defense out of any flying type, period. And its combination of steel flying gives it 9 resistances, including 2 quad resistances to grass and bug, and an immunity to both ground and poison attacks. And for what is meant to be a defensive wall, it has decent attack and speed to back it up too. The main thing that is interesting about Skarmory is that you can approach its moveset in 2 different ways depending on how you want to play it. You can, of course, teach it a mix of steel and flying type attacks and maybe teach it Roost or Agility for longevity or sweeping purposes. But in the competitive meta, Skarmory is one of the best hazard support Pokemon in the game. It naturally gets spikes through level up, an entry hazard that can inflict either 1/8, 1/6, or 1/4 of the opposing Pokemon's HP, depending on how many times it is used. It can also learn Stealth Rock via TM, which is one of the most dangerous entry hazards in the Gen 4 meta, and Tailwind via Move Tutor to provide extra support for your team. Between these moves and Skarmory's many resistances, it remains one of the best Pokemon in the competitive meta. That said, it doesn't have great special attack or special defense, which can leave it vulnerable to the wrong special attacker. And while Skarmory does have Sturdy for an ability, Sturdy in this generation isn't as good as it is nowadays. It only really serves to negate one-hit KO attacks like Guillotine. But regardless, it's one of the easiest flying types to slot in on your team, especially if you want a bird that can keep trucking on. Also, in case you were curious, this is the version-exclusive counterpart to Mantine. What's the relationship? Their defenses. Skarmory has 140 defense, and Mantine has 140 special defense. The more you know. Okay, that should cover all of the trainers and items that I should be able to get in around 45. As you saw, I kind of had to go through the area multiple times in order to get everything that I needed, but I did get it. Now, I do want to make one specific note before we move on to anything else. And of course, I do intend to catch the Pokemon that are on here. Saris leveled up to level 33 during the montage. And more importantly, Saris in the process learned Mean Look. Let's go over this move real quick. The user affixes the foe with a dark, arresting look. The target becomes unable to flee. I got rid of Air Cutter for this. And if you are raising a Crobat or any variation of the Zubat line, I would highly, highly recommend having this move handy. It's very fortunate that I got this move now because of what I'm going to be doing very soon. But just so you know, it's very important that Mean Look is available to you as an option for something coming up pretty soon. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and walk around the grass a little bit and try to find a Gligar and Phanpy, because we do need to get those Pokemon into our roster. So let's go. Ah, here we go, Gligar. First one I've found since the montage. Very, very nice. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use a Quick Ball, and hopefully this will not take too long, because Gligar can't be paralyzed, so we're either going to do this the easy way, or we're going to do this the very hard way. I see you're opting for the hard way. I think it can throw a headbutt given its high defense. There we go. Properly flinched. Let's try a Great Ball and see where that gets us. Again, normally I would try to paralyze it, but Gligar is a ground type, so it is straight up immune to paralysis. Doesn't matter either way. We got it. Gligar, the fly scorpion Pokemon. That sure is a title. It flies straight at its target's face, then clamps down on the startled victim to inject poison. You would never guess that such a horrifying thing would come from such a little tiny imp. Anyway, if you want to give a nickname to Gligar, feel free to recommend one in the comments. Now I just need to find Phanpy, and then we can move on. There we go. We found our Fudge. We found a Phanpy, guys. Now let's see if we're a little luckier with the quick ball this time. One, two, three. Ah, man. Now we gotta do this the hard way. And once again, we cannot paralyze it because Phanpy is also a ground type. One, two, three. There we go. Phanpy has been caught. Phanpy, the long-nosed Pokemon. It swings its long snout around playfully, but because it is so strong, that can be dangerous. If you'd like to give a nickname to Phanpy, please feel free to recommend one in the comments. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the next thing we're going to do. We're almost done here. I know it's a bit of a long episode, but trust me, it's all gonna pay off. Dark Cave. There is yet another entrance to the Dark Cave that we can explore. For this next venture into the Dark Cave, I highly recommend that you have a Pokemon with Surf and, of course, Flash for the Dark Cave. I don't think you need Strength for this next segment, but you do at least need Surf and Flash. Well, you don't need Flash, but it's a lot more manageable with Flash. So, as you can see here, I have Venus in the party once more. So let's go. Welcome back to the Dark Cave. You can see Wobbuffet cowering in the corner. I believe that is relatively new for us. Behold! We are now in a whole new territory here. And we want to be very mindful because I'm pretty sure this area does have some higher level Pokemon than the last time we were here. Well, not really, but definitely higher than the very first time we were here. Yep, that's where we need to go. Nope, no hidden items here. That's a shame. Oh! Wobbuffet! This is the first time we found Wobbuffet. I talked about Wobbuffet when we went to the Safari Zone because that is the earliest point that we can get it, but as we saw, well, when we walked in the Dark Cave and here, Wobbuffet can be caught. So I'm gonna throw a quick ball at it. Might as well. Nope. The problem is that now we have to go absolutely all in with the offense. I don't think... What's the problem? Yeah, because I can't leave, right? Yeah, I can't switch out or leave. This ain't good. Let's pray that U-turn doesn't knock out one hit. Okay. Saris went back to me, and U-turn does bypass its Shadow Tag ability, in case that was not obvious enough. So let's bring out Rhydon, and unlike the other Pokemon that we've seen so far, Rhydon can paralyze Wobbuffet, so this should be a little easier. Let's see how Great Ball number 3 of the day does. 1, 2, 3. Bam! We got ourselves a Wobbuffet at long last. Wobbuffet, the patient Pokemon. It hates light and shock. What? If attacked, it inflates its body to build up a counter strike. Why does it hate light? And how does one hate shock? Well, anyway, if you'd like to give a nickname to this Wobbuffet, feel free to recommend one in the comments. I guess I should also point out that in this particular generation, they did something very funny. I've alluded to this a couple of times, I believe, but some Pokemon have slightly alternate sprites depending on the specific nature of the Pokemon itself, or rather, not the nature, the gender. And some of those differences are relatively marginal. Like, some just have slightly longer horns, some have different colored whiskers, some have different, like, spots. But Wobbuffet, they decided to go a little funnier with it and decided to just straight up give female Wobbuffet lipstick. I don't know why they decided to do that, but I think it's funny. Anyway, right over here is yet another item. We can get a revive. Very useful item as always. I may not even need to buy revives in the future. Okay, now then, checking the rocks here. You never know for certain what could be found here. There are some really, really nice items here, so I do want to be absolutely sure that I grab all of them. Okay, no hit ends here, so let's head down this way, check the rocks again. There's definitely another item over here. I'm pretty sure I remember what that one is. Okay, here we go. TM54, false swipe. Very, very useful move. Let's talk about it. Pretty sure we have had access to false swipe in the department store for a while, but just to be certain, a restrained attack that prevents the foe from fainting. The target is left with at least 1 HP. Yes, despite what a particular user of Scizor will tell you, you cannot finish things off with a false swipe. False Swipe is a great move when you're trying to catch particularly difficult wild Pokemon because you can use False Swipe as much as you want without fully reducing their HP to 0. It's a nice way to increase the odds of catching as much as you possibly can. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure none of the Pokemon in my party can learn False Swipe, and if they could, it wouldn't be worth it. I've otherwise increased the odds. Right down here is the ledge that would take us back to where we were in the, the first time we entered this new area. So I'm going to hold off on going down there, because once you go down there, there's no coming back. There's the lipstick Wobbuffet I mentioned before. It's like, sweet Christ, why did they do this? God! I'll be right back. Let's go up here now from this specific area. There should be some other stuff that we can get from the rocks. I just need to find the hidden items. Go over here. There seems to be a particular man over there that I want to talk to. I just need to find a way to get to him. Ah, here we go. Go up here and talk to the hype man in front of... behind the... God dang it! Geodude! Anyway, my definite hype man, what have you got? Whoa, you started me there. I had my black glasses on, so I didn't notice you at all. What am I doing here? Hey, don't you worry about it. I'll give you a pair of black glasses, so forget you saw me, okay? We obtained the black glasses. Black glasses up the power of dark type moves. Yes, it's just like the myriad of other type-based boosting items that we have seen before. It boosts the power of dark type moves by 20%, so if you are raising a dark type of any kind, I highly recommend getting them. But I do believe that covers everything that there is to do in the Dark Cave. We're finally done, guys. We've finished everything off. So I'm gonna head out at the bottom of the Dark Cave, and then I will see you guys later, because we have, well, not much left to do, but I at least like to step out of this cave. All right, guys, it's been a very long episode, and I know that there's a lot that I had to cover, but at long last, after our arduous journey, we're back in New Barktown. And you know what? After everything we've done here today, I think we're going to go ahead and end this episode here. We explored 2 big caves, we caught a few new Pokemon, including getting a Tyro from the Karate King, and we got a bunch of really nice helpful items that are going to be very helpful in the future. So next time on Pokemon HeartGold, we're going to capture the legendary beasts Entei and Raikou. See you guys then.